Discover 10 unexpected life-changing insights from David Goggins, Jocko Willink and Eric Thomas. The words raced through Lisa's mind like the summer wind. As she paced along the field, her heart beat faster, churning with a cocktail of nerves and hope. She was standing in the local park, the sun casting bright rays through the budding leaves, illuminating her world. Today, she was the coach for Tommy's Little League team, her heart filled with enthusiasm as the kids playfully chased after the ball. But beneath the excitement, a familiar doubt gripped her. What if she failed? "Come on, team. You got this," she shouted, her voice echoing across the grassy field. Every cheer was a reminder of her own past, growing up feeling small, overshadowed by expectations and financial worries. Her parents worked hard, and she swore she wouldn't let their sacrifices go to waste. Yet, each clap from the sidelines stirred her childhood fears, whispering lies about her worth. Could she truly inspire these kids when she often doubted herself? As the game progressed, each moment of laughter from Tommy and Mia filled her with warmth. They were her sunshine, her little sparks of joy. But still, her heart weighed heavy. Life moved at a crawl in their quaint Midwestern town, and the pressure to conform to societal norms suffocated her aspirations. Every day was a grind, serving breakfast at the diner and mopping floors in corporate offices at night. The relentless work often blurred her dreams, that deep desire to become a motivational speaker, to be a voice for others who faced similar struggles. Then one fateful evening, she stumbled upon a podcast featuring David Goggins, Jocko Willink, and Eric Thomas. Their booming voices spoke of resilience, tenacity, and the power of overcoming obstacles. She listened intently, each word sparking a fire deep within her. Here were three men who turned their pain into purpose, proving that anyone could rise above their circumstances. With each shared story, a flicker of hope ignited, pushing her to take a leap of faith. She signed up to share her own experiences at the upcoming community center event. Could her journey resonate with others? But just when she began to soar, her brother came to town, dragging unresolved tension in his wake. They once shared everything, but now his condescending remarks felt like daggers. Lisa worked hard to push aside the old family baggage, but every word stung, drawing her back into feelings of inadequacy. How could she dream of inspiring others when her own flesh and blood was pulling her down? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the community event approached, nerves tightened around her. Lisa found herself standing before an expectant crowd, her pulse racing, heart pounding in her chest. She took a deep breath and began, but before she could share her truths, a voice sliced through the room. "Who do you think you are to speak to us?" The room fell silent, whispers buzzing like angry bees around her. Doubt swirled in her mind, yet she felt another surge of determination. Could she break free from the shadows of her past? Could she rise above and find her voice? She stood tall, ready to fight for acceptance, recognition, and the chance to uplift her community if only she could find the courage to answer the question that had haunted her all her life. Lisa's heart raced in that tense silence, every second stretching into an eternity. She could feel the room's collective breath held tight, each gaze boring into her with critical scrutiny. The question lingered, echoing like an alarm bell, but instead of faltering, something deep within her ignited. "I'm Lisa," she finally managed, voice steady yet soft, "and I'm here because I believe in the power of our stories." The words broke free, spilling out like sunshine after a storm. The audience remained cautious, but she pressed on. "I'm just like many of you. I've struggled, doubted myself, and faced walls so high I thought I'd never climb them." She glanced across the crowd, seeking familiar faces, Tommy's twinkling eyes in the front row, the encouraging smirk on Mia's lips. Their support reminded her of the reasons she was here. "I grew up in a small town with big dreams but not always the courage to chase them," she said, throwing her heart into every syllable. "But when I listened to people like Goggins and Thomas, they taught me that pain can lead to purpose. That our obstacles don't define us, they can refine us." Around the room, she noticed a subtle shift, a crease of understanding on a middle-aged man's brow, a nod from a mother cradling her baby. They were beginning to listen, not as critics, but as fellow travelers on a common path. "Life isn't just about surviving," Lisa continued, her passion rising like a tide, "it's about thriving. And each one of us has the power to rewrite our narratives. I know it's hard, but we can choose to lean into our struggles instead of running away from them." The jeers of the questioning voice faded into a distant hum. Inspired by her own resolve, Lisa found a rhythm, a dance of words that felt liberating. "I'm here to share my journey, not as a perfect person but as someone who stumbled and fell, just like you. And if I can do it, so can you." As she spoke, memories of her brother's skeptical comments loomed at the edges of her mind, but she grounded herself. This was for the people who felt just like she had, unseen and unworthy. With each heartfelt sentence, she was transforming. Then, in a moment that felt both electric and fragile, she locked eyes with that very voice that had challenged her, a man in the back, arms crossed, skepticism etched across his face. "And what if you fail?" he shot back, louder this time, cutting through her newfound courage. Breath caught in her throat. It was the question she had asked herself countless times. But she realized it wasn't about avoiding failure, it was about what she did in the face of it. Wiping away the tension, Lisa smiled, her heart steadied. "Let me tell you something I've learned: failure isn't the end. It's simply a stepping stone. When you trip, you get back up, brush off the dust, and keep going. In fact, I'm embracing my fear," she exclaimed, her voice rising with certainty. The man fell silent, an eyebrow raised in curiosity, almost as if he hadn't expected this comeback. The crowd seemed to lean in, intrigued by the tension that hung between them. "Today, as I stand before you, I don't seek your approval. I stand because I know that my voice, our voices, matter," she said, the fervor in her heart pulsing urgently. "Will you join me in this journey?" An unexpected silence returned, filled with a mixture of hope and raw possibility. Lisa felt the tension of that moment shift as her invitation hung in the air like a promise. All at once, the room seemed to breathe again. A murmur broke out, and she sensed something stirring within her audience, a promise of connection, of shared experiences. What would it take for them to truly rise together? It was a question now looming larger than the fears that had held her for so long. But as the murmurs grew into a gentle applause, she stared into the future, feeling empowered for the first time. But just as hope began to envelop her, she spotted her brother at the rear, arms crossed tighter, a frown etched on his face. What was he really thinking? Would he ever understand? Questions lingered as Lisa regrouped her thoughts, the next step ahead shrouded in mystery. The applause washed over Lisa like a warm tide, but her heart thudded with uncertainty. As she stood there, flooded with emotions, she allowed herself to take a deep breath. She had reached them, or at least she was getting there. The energy shifted in the room, and she could feel a connection starting to form. Yet, her brother's disapproving glare remained fixed in her mind, anchoring her to the ground. "Okay, let us keep this going," she said, finding her footing again. "Who else wants to share their story?" A young woman in the back raised her hand hesitantly. Lisa recognized her from the neighborhood. "I'm Jenna," the woman began, her voice shaky. "I've always been too afraid to step out of my comfort zone. But after hearing you, I want to change." Lisa smiled warmly, feeling a ripple of support enact itself across the room. "That's the spirit, Jenna. It takes real guts to say that." The woman's eyes widened. "But what if I fail?" She echoed the very question that haunted Lisa earlier. The room fell silent again, as everyone took in the weight of those words. Lisa leaned against the podium, her heart racing. What if you do? She paused for effect, walking toward her with intent. Then you learn, you grow. You become stronger. Each failure chisels away the fear, revealing the courage buried beneath. The murmur among the audience grew, and Lisa felt as though she were igniting something deeper in them. One by one, others shared their struggles, their fears, and their dreams. Each voice added to the tapestry of courage unfolding before her. Tommy chimed in. I've been scared to pursue my art, I worry it won't be good enough. Art is about expression, not perfection, Lisa replied, her heart swelling. The world needs your unique voice. That's the beauty of it. As more people spoke up, including a man who once spent his nights drowning in self-doubt, the collective energy began to lift. It was as if they were peeling back layers of armor, each shared story revealing someone raw and vulnerable, yet bold. Yet, even amidst this electrifying energy, Lisa felt her brother's presence like a stone. Would he ever break free from his skepticism? Would he listen to the stories she now held as truths? Just then, she noticed the man who had challenged her. His arms, once firm in disbelief, started to unfold. What about us? He asked, his voice softer now. What if we really want to change? Then we lean into discomfort and support each other, Lisa answered, locking eyes with him. She couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope ignite in the heavy air. But that means being honest with ourselves and with each other. The applause began to swell again, louder this time, infused with real enthusiasm. Lisa felt the thumping of her heart sync with the rhythm of applause, pulsating through the room like a collective heartbeat. Emboldened, she raised her voice. Together, we can rewrite our stories. We are not just survivors, we are warriors. The audience roared. Lisa looked around, seeing faces alive with possibility. But just when the wave of support seemed overwhelming, her brother stood up. I don't understand why this. Lisa's heart sank but then surged as she faced him. Because we deserve to be seen. We won't let fear keep us from living fully. Don't you want that too? Silence wrapped around them again, heavier this time. As she stared into her brother's eyes, she felt encapsulated by a fierce mix of hope and uncertainty. Would he finally understand the power of vulnerability? Lisa's breath caught in her throat, as the room held its breath once more. The air crackled with anticipation, leaving everyone questioning what would happen next. The moment was electric with possibility, but in her brother's gaze, Lisa saw a swirling storm of doubts. She could almost hear his inner battles, the turmoil that kept him seated, rigid against the tide of change that seemed to engulf everyone else. She opened her mouth, ready to reassure him, but the words just wouldn't come. Is it so hard to believe that we can change? She finally managed, her voice barely above a whisper. The crowded room seemed to hold its breath waiting for his response. I'm just worried about you, he said, his tone softer but laced with confusion. What if this is all just a fantasy? You can't actually fix everything by just feeling. His words struck her like a punch to the gut. They reminded her of her own fears. Sometimes it's not about fixing everything, it's about learning to live with the mess, she replied, her voice gathering strength. It's about allowing ourselves to be vulnerable in front of others, to find strength in our shared humanity. There was a shift in the atmosphere, a hesitant acceptance of her perspective. The murmurs around the room began again, rising like a wave as more voices took to the floor. I've lost sight of who I am, a man confessed, his voice breaking. I've been chasing a career that means nothing to me. This is what we're talking about. Lisa exclaimed, igniting fresh energy into the room. You don't have to keep pretending. What truly makes you happy? A pause followed, then, with slight tremors, the man spoke again. I always loved working with my hands building things. I just thought it was impractical. Nonsense. Someone from the left shouted. The crowd erupted into supportive murmurs. If it makes you happy, it's not impractical. With her heart racing, Lisa realized they were painting new realities. Each shared story chipped away at their fears. She noticed her brother's expression changing, his furrowed brow softening ever so slightly. Was he listening? Connecting? Another voice chimed in. I've been afraid of speaking up at work. I want to contribute my ideas. That's brave. Lisa encouraged. Speak your truth. You'll inspire others to do the same. As the stories unfolded, she could see it the raw beauty of transformation taking place. Every story was woven together, creating a bright tapestry of resilience and dreams, a spiraling symphony of courage that embraced them all. And yet, Lisa couldn't ignore the nagging voice at the back of her mind, her brother. She desperately wanted him to feel this. To feel connected, included, and valued. Just then, someone in the front row caught her eye, their face illuminated by newfound hope. But just as Lisa was about to dive deeper into the next story, her brother rose again, frustration flickering in his eyes. You all act like everything's so simple. It's not that easy. I'm not sure it can change. The room froze. Lisa's heart felt heavy in the silence. I'm not saying it's easy, she said slowly, the gravity of his words weighing down on her. But if we don't try, we'll never know what could be possible. Isn't that worth the risk? The air in the room crackled again as her words sank in. Faces around her reflected thoughts ranging from disbelief to wonderment. Everyone was caught in a battle of their own, what they wanted versus what they feared. Lisa could feel tension and hope swirling, dancing on a tightrope. She turned her gaze back to her brother, willing him to understand. This is our chance to be more than what we are. Are you willing to take a step into the unknown with us? Her heartfelt question hung in the air, echoing in everyone's mind. Would he take that step? Would he join this journey of hope and transformation, or remain anchored into skepticism? The room collectively inhaled, bracing for whatever might unfold next. And in that charged silence, a voice from the back broke through. I'm ready to take that leap. The courage shown ignited a ripple of excitement throughout the crowd, but Lisa's heart raced with uncertainty. Would they all truly commit to this leap? And what was waiting for them just beyond the edge? The ripples of excitement flowed through the crowd, bouncing off the walls like a wave crashing on a shore. The voice of the brave soul from the back had cracked the fragile tension, but Lisa felt a knot in her stomach. It only took one leap to believe, yet 1,000 doubts could drown it all. Who else? She called, trying to match the energy. Who else is ready to leap? One by one, hands started to rise. Each hand felt like a heartbeat echoing the hope pulsating in the room. Faces transformed from uncertainty to determination as the possibility of change fizzled in the air like the first colors of dawn after a long night. There's strength in numbers, said a woman in the third row, her voice steady and clear. Let us embrace this together. The room erupted again, voices rising in an anthem of defiance against fear. Lisa could see her brother's shoulders tense again, the shadows of doubt still clinging to him. This was not just a collective moment, it was personal, and she needed him to feel that. David, she said, stepping closer to him, it's okay to be afraid. We've all been there. But you're not alone. Look around. She gestured broadly to the crowd. These people, they know what you're feeling. They understand because they've faced it too. Will you let them in? He looked at her, then at the crowd, and back again. An internal battle raged behind his eyes. Lisa's heart beat loudly in her chest, hoping he'd find his voice amid the chaos. Another man shared, I was terrified of failing, but I realized failing means I'm trying. I'm done hiding. That's it. Lisa encouraged. We're here to shed our fears, not wear them like a badge of honor. A wave of support washed over her, and she could see her brother's hesitation give way to something different, curiosity, perhaps. Maybe the storm in his gaze was starting to settle, just a little. Then, quite unexpectedly, he let out a breath, deep and shaky. I just don't want to make the wrong choice or let you down. His voice was smaller now, vulnerable, and the confession brought a hush over the room. "You could never let me down," Lisa replied, her voice steady. "This isn't about perfection. It's about being real, it's about trying and hoping. And yes, sometimes failing. We're in this together." The crowd waited with bated breath, soaked in the moment where change was so close they could almost taste it. Lisa's words hovered in the air, an invitation, the chance to join the dance of uncertainty and bravery. "I know," he said finally, eyes wide as if seeing for the first time. "I still have to find my voice, but maybe I can start now." "And we'll be right here with you," Lisa replied, tears pooling at the corners of her eyes. She could sense a shift, it was subtle but profound. Her brother was stepping closer to the edge of the precipice, too. Just then, a woman from the side shouted, "How about we form a support group? A safe space where we can all share and grow together." A chorus of agreements rang out, enthusiasm bubbling over. Lisa's heart swelled. This was the magic of connection, the promise of community wrapped around them like a warm blanket. But before she could soak in the moment, her brother took a step forward. "Okay, I'm in." His voice didn't just carry resolve, it radiated acceptance. The crowd erupted in applause, a vibrant tide of relief and joy. And as Lisa looked at him, the fear that had once gripped her brother began to dissolve. She felt a giddy rush, knowing they were now all part of something bigger. Yet, just as the room began to celebrate, the clamor of excitement gave way to a sudden silence. An intense stillness fell over them, as if the air was pregnant with yet another revelation. "Wait," Lisa breathed, realization crashing over her. "What if our leap isn't just about overcoming our fears? What if it's about understanding what lies beneath them?" Eyes widened around the room, and the crowd leaned in, the emotional tide shifting once again. They had touched on something deeper, a revelation that lingered beneath the surface, waiting to be explored. What truths could they discover together? With hearts pounding, every person remained poised, anticipating the next step on this journey of transformation. Lisa knew they were on the edge of something remarkable, and as the tension danced once more, she couldn't help but wonder where this path would lead. The atmosphere thickened with anticipation, leaving everyone breathless. Lisa felt all eyes on her, as if waiting for her to unlock the door to this newfound understanding. She took a deep breath, grounding herself in the moment. "What lies beneath our fears?" she echoed, feeling the weight of the question settle over them like an electric charge. "What keeps us from taking that leap?" From the back of the room, an older gentleman with silver hair spoke up. "For many of us, it's the fear of judgment. The fear of being seen and not measuring up." His voice trembled, yet there was strength woven in. "That's it," Lisa replied, her heart racing. "Judgment can be crippling, can't it? But what if we decided to redefine that judgment? What if we look at it as an opportunity to grow instead of a barrier?" Around her, heads began to nod slowly, as if the idea was taking root. David's eyes flickered with a spark. For the first time that night, she saw him start to move with the ebb and flow of the discussion, the weight lifting just enough for hope to surface. A woman near the front spoke up, her hands gripping the edge of her chair. "What about regrets? I'm scared of looking back at my life and realizing I didn't try hard enough, that I played it safe." "That fear is real," another voice chimed in, strong and sure. "But what if trying leads to failure? Isn't that better than never trying at all?" "It is," David said, his voice gaining volume and confidence. "I've held myself back for so long, afraid of failing. But isn't it worse to fail to venture out? To have never taken the leap?" He paused, glancing at Lisa, his vulnerability laid bare. "I want to look back one day and say I tried even if I stumbled." The crowd stirred, energy building, hearts beating in sync. Lisa couldn't contain her excitement as each confession flowed like water breaking through a dam. Every shared fear brought another layer of understanding. They weren't just discovering their fears, they were dissecting them, breaking them down like a puzzle to find clarity. With every moment, her brother's face brightened, the shadows retreating. The realization began to settle in like a gentle wave washing over sand. This was more than just a conversation about fear, it was a collective therapy session, a catharsis uniting them. A young man rose to his feet, his voice shaking yet determined. What if we turned our past failures into lessons? Every misstep is a step forward in disguise. Excitement rippled like a fresh breeze, invigorating everyone in the room. Lisa could see cracks forming in the wall around David as he pulled courage from those words. The vulnerability he felt transformed into resolve. As everyone chimed in, creating a mosaic of experiences, she felt their rhythm, the shared heartbeat of dreams, fears, and aspirations colliding. Let us help each other with our next steps, Lisa suggested, a smile breaking through her earlier worry. If we put our fears on the table, we can offer support like we've never seen before. Together, we'll create a map to navigate what lies ahead. Yes. A voice from the back shouted, enthusiasm catching like wildfire. They began forming small groups, each one a mix of backgrounds and stories, unified by their willingness to explore the depths of their emotions and challenges. Lisa watched, her heart swelling. This was the essence of community acceptance, weaving everyone into a safety net. But before they could dive deeper, the doors suddenly swung open. A gust of wind rushed in, surprising them all. A man stumbled in, looking frantic and disheveled. The energy shifted again, curiosity piqued. "Excuse me," he gasped, scanning the room. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've been searching for help. I need to know how to leap myself." The desperation in his voice echoed through the chamber, leaving everyone momentarily speechless. Lisa felt her breath catch. What lay ahead in this unexpected twist? Would they embrace this new voice or send him away? Her heart raced as uncertainty loomed once again. The room hung in silence as the man's words lingered in the air. Every person turned slightly to face him, drawn in by the raw intensity radiating from his figure. Lisa's heart pounded in her chest. Who was this man? What kind of leap did he need help with? "Please, take a moment," he pleaded, breathing heavily as if each word required every ounce of strength he had left. "I didn't know where else to go, and I felt drawn here. I've been afraid to take risks my whole life, but I'm at a breaking point. I can't keep living this way." He stepped closer, the collective curiosity pressing him forward. His eyes darted from face to face, searching for understanding or, maybe, something more, a lifeline. "What's holding you back?" Lisa asked gently, her voice breaking through the tension. The sincerity in her tone caused the man to pause, as if he needed to gather the courage to share his truth. "I lost my job over a year ago. I've struggled to find work ever since. I've let fear and pride keep me from reaching out. Now, I look at myself in the mirror and think, have I become the person I never wanted to be?" Tears brimmed in his eyes, and those words struck an emotional chord. Lisa scanned the room, and she could see others feeling it too. Nods of agreement sprang up. They all felt that fear, the fear of becoming someone unrecognizable, of losing themselves. "Taking a leap can mean sharing your struggles too," David chimed in, his earlier uncertainty melting away in the man's presence. "It takes courage to confront your fears, but standing here with us shows you're already halfway there." The man blinked rapidly, as if waking from a dream. David had turned a light on for him, and she could see the flicker of hope igniting. Lisa stepped forward, feeling the pull of their collective strength. "What if we formed a support group right now?" she suggested, excitement bubbling in her chest. "We've talked so much about our fears, let us use this opportunity to help each other face them, starting with our new friend." A chorus of agreement erupted, fueled by the shared understanding of the night. Those who had clustered in small groups began to draw nearer, hands reaching out in encouragement. Lisa felt a rush, an exhilarating surge of purpose igniting the room. "Let us put our heads together," another voice called. "We might all have something to share that can help." The tension in the air shifted, weaving threads of connection as they joined together, absorbing each other's pain. The man who gave his name as Julian looked around, his expression softening as light broke through his doubt. "Thank you," he whispered, wiping away a rogue tear. "I've never done this before." "Neither have we," someone replied. "But that's the beauty of it." They began exchanging stories, some light-hearted, some heavy with grief. Inspirations ignited like sparks, and what had been a night filled with apprehension transformed into an explosion of raw honesty. But just as they began to find their rhythm, a sharp knock sounded at the door. The energy shifted again, curiosity now lined with apprehension. "Can they help, too?" A timid voice called from outside, muffled but filled with an undeniable yearning, a plea for understanding. Lisa exchanged a glance with David, her heart racing once again. Who else was out there? Would they embrace this new voice, or would the momentum they built waver? The room held its breath, waiting for the answer to unfold. What would happen next? Would they extend their community even further, or retreat back into their own fears? The knock echoed in the room, a sharp reminder that change often came wrapped in unexpected packages. Lisa's heart raced wildly. She looked around, seeing the same trepidation mirrored in others' faces. Some exchanged glances filled with anticipation, while others appeared hesitant, caught between excitement and fear. "Should we let them in?" someone whispered, nervousness creeping into their voice. "Absolutely," David said, his voice steady but urgent. "We can't shut the door on someone who might need us as much as Julian did." Slowly, Lisa stepped toward the door. She felt the tension crackle in the air, a shared electricity among the group. It was as if everyone collectively held their breath, waiting to see who had arrived at this crucial moment. "Whoever it is, they deserve a chance," she said, reaching for the handle. Her heart beat loudly in her ears, each tick marking the gravity of the decision. She pulled the door open. A young woman stood there, her eyes wide with emotion, her coat wrapped tightly around her as if shielding herself from the world. "Hi," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. "I am sorry to interrupt. I heard voices, and I thought maybe." The warmth of the room spilled out, welcoming her, transforming her uncertainty into desire. A few members of the group immediately moved closer to the door, their expressions softening. "Come in," Lisa urged, stepping aside to let her pass. "You're welcome here. We just started sharing some of our stories." As the woman entered, the energy in the room shifted once more. The rest of the group, curious and empathetic, welcomed her with supportive nods and soft smiles. Myra, as she introduced herself, looked at Julian, her eyes betraying a blend of sadness and hope. I didn't know what else to do. I moved here recently and thought I could escape my old life, but it's still here. I don't know how to start over." A subtle stir of understanding rose among those gathered. Everyone in the circle had fought their own battles. They had their struggles. Lisa felt the air grow thick with shared experiences. "None of us want to go back to where we started, right?" David said, his voice now buoyed by the inclusion of another soul seeking help. "But we can forge a new path forward together." Julian looked at Myra, a strange kinship forming as they shared the weight of their stories. "I felt that way too, he said. "There's this ache for connection, for support. It's like being lost in a crowd and still feeling invisible." Myra nodded, tears glimmering in her eyes. "Exactly," she replied, her voice cracking. "I thought moving away would fix everything, but it hasn't. I'm scared of showing who I really am." As they spoke, the room filled with an almost palpable warmth, the kind that allows heartbreaking truths to emerge. Lisa felt the bond solidifying around them. All this was no longer about single struggles, it was about creating a collective strength. Then, David leaned forward, his expression serious yet compassionate. "You're not alone in this. We've all been there. And here, you can be honest and free. You can share whatever burdens you carry. That's the only way we'll all take that leap forward." The group nodded in agreement, the words echoing a pledge to one another. They would support each other. The atmosphere pulsed with purpose, building a sense of safety as they turned to Myra and opened the floor, inviting her to share. Suddenly, another knock rattled the door, pulling Lisa's attention once more. A wave of disbelief swept through the room. Another? Who else was out there yearning for connection? Could they handle more? The collective dread mixed with excitement. Would they be ready for yet another soul searching for a lift from their own darkness? As she glanced hesitantly at David, an unspoken question hung thick between them: what if this time, the stakes were even higher? Lisa took a deep breath, her hand resting on the door handle as the tension in the air thickened again. Curiosity danced alongside apprehension within her, but she felt a sudden rush of courage swell up. There was something about this moment, about each knock that echoed through their paths, that felt significant, almost destined. "Let us do this," she said quietly, almost to herself. With a quick nod to David, she opened the door again. Another young man stood there this time, drenched in the soft hue of the fading sunlight. His hair was tousled, and his eyes brimmed with an urgency that suggested he had been on the brink of giving up. "Hey, sorry, I hope I'm not interrupting," he said, glancing back over his shoulder as if he feared being followed. "I heard from outside. Come in." "You're safe here," Lisa urged, stepping aside, her heart racing anew as she extended a hand. "We're just getting to know each other. We all need a place to land sometimes." His hesitant steps transformed as he crossed the threshold, the warmth inside beckoning him closer. "I'm Jake," he introduced himself, taking a seat amidst the circle of newfound comrades. "Why did you come?" Myra asked softly, her voice gentle but curious. "What are you looking for?" Jake looked around the room, and Lisa sensed him wrestling with a tumult of emotions: fear, hope, desperation. Finally, he spoke, the words bursting forward. "I'm tired of running. I thought I could leave everything behind, but nothing ever changes. It's like my past is glued to my back, weighing me down, and I just don't know how to break free." Lisa's gut twisted at his words. So many were grappling with stories of pain, loss, and the undeniable cling of their past selves. "You're not alone," she said, feeling each word resonate within the group. "So many of us resonate with feeling stuck." David leaned forward, his compassion palpable. "You're here now. That's the first step. We've all had to face our shadows, and it's hard. But together, we can help each other move forward." As they continued to surround Jake with shared threads of empathy, a silence enveloped the room, thick with unspoken truths. Lisa looked at Myra, then at Julian, seeing their eyes shine with understanding. Their stories mattered. Even Jake's broken pieces made sense in this space. Suddenly, the door burst open again. Lisa jumped, glancing back to see an older man, his face lined with age and burden. He held a small suitcase, and his eyes darted around the room, trying to absorb the scene unfolding before him. Panic flashed briefly before he finally took a step inside. "Is this a place for lost souls?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Yes," David replied quickly, motioning him in. "You found the right place. What's your name?" Lisa asked gently, her heart aching for him. "Sam," he replied, taking a seat, his expression troubled but hopeful. "I've just been wandering, trying to find something." The weight of his journey settled on them all, each of them holding their breaths in a moment both raw and sacred. They didn't know what Sam had endured, but everything inside them stirred with the knowledge that each person who entered brought a piece of the puzzle, a subtext of stories waiting to be shared. Lisa felt the room pulse with energy, a mixture of fear and fervor, like a storm brewing. Everyone present had come to confront the world outside, yet here they were woven together by collective pain, searching for healing. She locked eyes with David, silently conveying a question: was this just the beginning? As they welcomed the new arrivals with open arms, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that this moment was about to spiral into something much larger than they could have anticipated. What truths would unravel? What trials awaited? And as if in response to her thought, a voice echoed faintly from the shadows outside, calling out a reminder that there were even more souls seeking refuge, more adventurous knocks still to come. As the echoes of the latest voices faded, Lisa stood amidst the vibrant circle, feeling a swirl of emotions dance in the air. Hearts were laid bare, vulnerabilities exchanged like currency, and she couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the cusp of something monumental. Sam. Jake. Myra. Julian. She called, their names rising like a prayer. You're here because you're ready for change, ready to embrace the discomfort of growth. Each of us has lived stories that could fill pages, and tonight, we start writing a new chapter together. Soft murmurs rippled through the crowd, the intimacy of their shared experiences wrapped around them. Resolve began to build, and she sensed it, a commitment bonding them deeper than she could have ever anticipated. Tell us your fears, she encouraged, her voice flowing like a gentle stream. Not just whispers, but out loud. Let us transform these tales of uncertainty into powerful catalysts for change. Sam looked up, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. I'm scared it might be too late for me, that I've lost too much time. I understand, Lisa replied, stepping closer to him. Sometimes, it feels like time is slipping through our fingers, especially when we're stuck. But it's never too late to reclaim your voice, to find purpose again. What step can we help you take right now? Maybe I just need to find a way to share my love for painting again, he murmured. Then let's start there. Lisa exclaimed, her heart swelling with excitement. Your passion is worth sharing, and we are right here to support you as you explore it again. Julian took a breath, nodding. I've been in that space too, where you let your passions be overshadowed by doubt. Let's brainstorm together. What if we held an art showing? We can all pitch in. Myra's face lit up. We can do that. Make it a community event, yes. Lisa interrupted, her voice infused with enthusiasm. A showcase where everyone can contribute their talents. This could be the beginning of a support network where we all lift each other up. The crowd buzzed with anticipation, preventing the barriers built by fear from curbing their excitement. Jake beamed, his earlier trepidation replaced by eagerness. I would love that. I used to write poetry, I'll share that, too. Their hearts beating as one, the room radiated warmth, ideas flaring like stars in the night sky, each one illuminating the darkness around them. Decisions began to blossom, everyone would boldly step into the limelight, glittering with shared potential. But then, another interruption pulled at Lisa's consciousness. Through the door, a familiar voice broke the heightened energy. Hello. Is this the right place? The crowd turned as a girl stepped in, her expression just as anxious as the others. Lisa's heart flipped. Of course. Come in. I heard laughter, she said softly, almost shyly. Is this a safe space? It is. David reassured her, his smile warm. We're here to share burdens and uplift one another. What brought you? What do you need? I just need to know I'm not alone, the girl admitted, her voice faltering. I lost my family recently, and I've been feeling so lost. I don't know how to walk forward each day. Silence melted over the room as shared heartache and compassion flowed. Lisa stepped closer, reaching out like a lighthouse guiding lost ships. You are absolutely not alone, she said, her voice tender. You have a family here now. All of us struggle, we're grappling in our own ways. Share with us, and let us hold you in this moment. The girl stepped into the circle, her vulnerability ignited a collective warmth among them. They all nodded, affirming her presence, wrapping her in acceptance. Tell us about your family, if you're comfortable, Lisa encouraged gently. As the girl began to speak, weaving tales of love and loss, Lisa felt their community weathering and growing like a tree, strong yet tender under the weight of their shared experiences. But Lisa couldn't deny that among the warmth in her heart, a flicker of those old doubts crept back. Her brother was still there, watching. Was he caught again in skepticism, or had the seeds of understanding taken root? His arms, now uncrossed, held a lightness she hadn't seen before. She could almost feel the change pulsing through him, reluctant yet eager for growth. "I guess what I'm still trying to wrap my head around," he began hesitantly, "is how we can really support one another if we all faced our struggles as individual journeys. What if we fall short? We embrace it." Lisa exclaimed, her enthusiasm electrifying the room. "We take the leap to love one another beyond where we are, to support each other as we discover our truths. It's in our imperfections that we find connection." As an applause began to rise once more, they circled back to their welcoming arms, hearts swelling and bursting with shared power. They faced the newer arrivals, tears of gratitude glistening in their eyes. "I think we've begun our transformation tonight," Julian said, his smile radiant. "No matter the storms lurking, the sun breaks through the clouds if we stand shoulder to shoulder." Lisa saw it, the light cresting through the specter of doubt, illuminating possibilities beyond their burdens. It was true, together, they were transforming the weight of their fears into a tapestry of courage, weaving stories that would echo far beyond the confines of the room. And as they all locked eyes, hope blossoming while laughter rang through the air, Lisa felt certain of one thing: this was just the beginning. Their stories mattered, and they would rise together, transcending the limits of fear and embracing the vast beauty of possibility waiting just ahead. This was a family reborn in understanding, in vulnerability, strength, and unity. They could ride the wave of change, one encouraging story at a time. Now, here's where you come in. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that will propel you towards your own transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help our community grow. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending you just experienced. Your voice matters. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who deserve to see this transformation. Together, we can inspire and uplift.